Heritage and history is everything here at Darlington. Whether it's the colorful nicknames it's earned, the unique stories behind its unusual configuration, or the dozens of legendary races that have gone down in NASCAR lore, character is all over every surface of this venue, which is why when drivers show up, they often pay tribute by giving a nod to their heroes of old with vintage paint schemes. It's just all part of the charm of one of NASCAR's oldest tracks as we get ready to watch Round 6 of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Chris Phoebe. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. All the aspects we listed prior just barely scratches the surface here at Darlington. Let's head to our track guide to learn more.
Before Daytona, there was Darlington. In 2020, the track celebrated its 70th anniversary, and despite numerous ups and downs, the track has proved resilient through it all, truly being the track too tough to tame. When Darlington was completed in 1950, there wasn't anything like it in the Southeast. It can only be compared in the U.S. to Indianapolis. Its unique shape is what really does it. This track was designed long before cars could achieve the speeds they do now, and while the asphalt is wide, the actual raceable track surface is very narrow through the turns, and that starts in turns 1 and 2. This is the wide end of the speedway. You'll often see cars enter up high, drift down a touch before coming back up to the wall, and then they try to diamond off turn 2. That's right, the corner actually sharpens from turns 1 and 2. And if you don't nail that turn 2 right, you'll leave a pretty nasty mark on the exit of the turn 2 wall. You fly down the backstretch and hit turns 3 and 4, which are much more symmetrical, but together present a much tighter radius than 1 and 2. You'll tend to enter high and stay high all the way to the exit of 4. When tires start to fade, you'll feel it at this end of the track more. Pretty much only the upper echelon of stock cars race at Darlington. The Cup cars, of course, having their annual Southern 500, a race that's perhaps the toughest 500-mile race on drivers and equipment. Today, here on GSRC and iRacing, Darlington will show us who has nerves of steel as they receive their Darlington stripes. Sit down and hold on for a wild one.
Chris, the track too tough to tame, the lady in black. There's been some great names for this place, but ultimately, Darlington really has to be taken one lap at a time.
That is for sure. I mean, this is a track that's definitely earned its nicknames. You're going to be racing the track even more than you're racing your competitors here. The fast way around is right up against the wall, and that makes your margin of error absolutely tiny. Passing is really hard to do here, so you're going to look for your opposition to make mistakes and open up chances for you. And by the way, the actual racing area of the track super narrow, and it wears your tires really quick. So this is going to be a challenge of beating the track before you have to worry about your competition.
So everybody stay focused, but before we get to the race itself, today's race is brought to you by SimMSA. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring everyone together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SimMSA.net.
The PRL NASCAR Truck Series is also brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit NinjaTrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. Now, looking at the Drivers' Championship, this is going to be a bit weird because you might say, well, Thomas Sink won last week, and he was 2 points behind last week. How did this happen? Well, Bradley Holly's bonus points were enough that he scored the same amount as our winner. So that has kept him still those 2 points ahead of Thomas Sink. It's a tie for third right now between Chatley and Conker, not too far back, with just 1 point back each to White and Acosta. So things could easily switch around, and we're on round 6. So this is very near to the end for things to be this tight. Is the team's championship also as close, Chris?
Well, up at the top, it's definitely not too far off. After a great week, the Whataback Overdrive Racing team just 6 markers out of the lead over private label Team Hype. But the Team Hype group has a sniper in the field, so to speak, with Richard Regan Jr. coming back. And then it's a little further back to the Car Ramrod team in third, but they have just a very small gap over the Whataback Back Row Racing team. And you can't forget about West Coast Racing. They're a ways back in 5th, but they are holding strong in that final top 5 position.
Now, as for today's race itself, we have the race details as well. As we mentioned, round 6, 95 laps that they're doing around here today. Quite a few to knock out. It is fixed setup, so all the trucks are essentially the same, and it's got a 24 incident limit. You're probably going to see a lot of those racked up on the exit of turn 2, where these trucks will be scraping the wall a lot here at Darlington. But right now, they're just getting some warm-up in and kind of enjoying each other's paint schemes. This has been really embraced. This is something they do in real life here, Chris, and you can see one of them here on the 54 of Josh Conker. But taking some of the schemes that we grew up with, or even before our time, and seeing what they look on the modern trucks.
Yeah, and it is basically a blank canvas for these guys on the iRacing service. You don't really have to run too much by a sponsor to get these schemes put on. As you see the Kevin Harvick throwback there on Thomas Sink. A really cool looking truck.
Absolutely. I believe Baron Hilton's got a really cool one. In the 47, this is one that I grew up with as well. The old Ricky Rudd. And the number 47 out there. Of course, a few different drivers have driven in that Tide scheme, but
yeah, it could be Darrell Waltrip, could be Ricky Rudd, Ricky Craven.
Good call. Yeah, Ricky Craven, that's a good one. Even still, and well, a sort of a throwback. Can we look at Dalton Geyer in the 36, who's right behind him? Actually, you're going to see him. Well, he's going to ruin that paint scheme here right now. But there he is, right there, and the 36. Rocking the Days of Thunder.
Or it could also be early 90s Kyle Petty.
True. Very true.
And I gotta say, Mellow Yellow is a very underrated beverage. Just throwing that out there.
Adam Young, of course, doing one as well. Got the old McDonald's scheme on there. Has a little bit of damage already on the right rear of his truck, but then a lot of the drivers have found themselves running victim to, well, quite a lot on the whole right side as we finally get a look at the full right side, and it is just completely scraped up. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is what they call a Darlington stripe. So we look
that
behind
might be a little
instead.
more than just a Darlington stripe.
Yeah, exactly. That's Zemke as well in the old Burger King machine. I'm trying to remember who drove that one, actually.
That was Joe Nemechek ran the Burger King
That's right.
team. And the first partial year that Dale Earnhardt Incorporated ran, they had a number 14 Burger King car.
Interesting. So Bradley Holly looks like he's done right there. Sumner taking Tropicana maybe a little bit more risque here with an homage to Hooters.
I want you to know, Joe, I am holding back so much on the amount of jokes that scheme makes me think of.
It looks pretty planted. He's not bouncing around too bad. So the 98 still just cycling those laps around. Right now, the fastest, for what it's worth, is Josh Conker in our times. And the old Folgers scheme. Now, this one I always thought looked very pretty, actually kind of classy.
Yeah, for sure. That was the Mark Martin version, too, which I always thought I liked it a little bit more than the Tim Richmond version. I always thought the Mark Martin one looked a little more little more put together.
Certainly. And only about 10 seconds left before we head off into that qualifying session. Now, if you're new to how the PRL runs their qualifying, they'll get 2 laps. It is the fastest of those 2 laps, which will count towards their qualifying. So that's all that they need, is the quickest one that they can knock out. But they cannot touch the wall, they cannot spin, or it will discount the lap out here. So they have to keep it clean. They cannot get that Darlington stripe on this qualifying lap, or else it'll be nullified immediately. And it's only these 2 laps. They will not be able to go back into the pits to try again. Just one go at it. You get 2 full flyers, and then you're done.
Yeah, that's exactly what Darlington needs, is to make part of the race even harder.
Yeah, this is iRacing rules, so not quite like real life. They'd get away with it in real life, but here in the sim, they have to get out there and make a clean one. And looking, I see Josh Conker kind of creeping away. A few others are already out and rolling. Dalton Geyer. I see Patrick Calgo. Looks like he's among our first in the 31 as well. Another one of our actually classic schemes here. This is him running the old Sprague Classic and the number 31. As we see his onboard, looking very focused, looking through the corner, way up to where he wants to exit off. And as he comes around, this is his first time lap. What's it going to be? A 30.2. So that's what everybody now has to meet. Let's see what everybody else can do.
Yeah, these qualifying laps here always make me so nervous. It's so hard to keep it out of the wall. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is just trying to give yourself that breathing room as we see Elliott White coming around.
White has been quick in both the Cup cars and in the trucks, and looks like he's quick today, as he's about 1/2 tenth ahead of Richard Regan on their first go.
Yeah, all of our top guys in practice were really close together, Joe, and I think we're going to see the same here in qualifying. I mean, this is a driver's track, and this will be one where the cream rises to the top here.
You're not going to be seeing a few drivers out in this qualifying because they've been given EOL penalties, which means they essentially will not be allowed to even step foot during qualifying. LaBaff, Chatley, Kulhanek, and Medina are out for this qualifying session. Josh Conker up to 4th on his second lap through. Actually, 3rd. I take that back. He went a little bit faster. So 29.791, but it is still Regan ahead as he has pipped Elliott White. We're waiting for fast names like Thomas Sink, Bradley Holly to get out there. I see Abner Acosta also on the track in his 5. So he's on his way. Didn't look too steady through 1 and 2, though.
Yeah, that's a bit interesting because he was one of the quicker drivers in practice, but I mean, this track has a way of throwing a wrench at you every now and then.
And I mean, they're on cold tires, so the truck has probably changed around a little bit after he had a few hot laps in. But his first time through, a 30.2 is going to put him in 9th. Let's see if they warm up enough to go any faster on the second lap. He comes down the back stretch, keeps it out of the wall in 2, so looking good so far. And you talked about it, riding right up to the wall. Did he scrape it, though? He was right up against it. He may have just tapped it, and that is definitely a hit. That is done. So Acosta having to start well down the field compared to his usual speed. Bradley Holly, in the meantime, just set his first lap, and it is a 30 flat.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the qualifyings where, as a driver, I personally want to run it a little more conservative, because as great as it would be to start up front, I mean, you want to be able to, it's better to start in the middle than start in the back.
Well, hopefully this paint scheme will be worth a few tenths, because Sterling Marlin certainly wasn't slow either, and the 29.9 is quicker. That'll put him into 4th, so only up 1 position, but he'll be in the top 2 rows. Richter is up next. The 51 down and across. And it looks like that second lap going to be a 30.068. So that'll put him in 7th place. I think we're waiting on Adam Shane, but I don't see him taking to the track yet. Blaine Adams just started rolling out, but he's only got 20 seconds left. This is Danny Cervantes. He's on the backstretch. I think he's got enough time to get one lap in. If this is a flyer, we'll see. Comes down to the line. What's it going to be? A 30.266. That'll put him in 16th, but that's pretty slow, unfortunately, for Danny Cervantes, as he tends to be closer to the front in his qualifying. But the grid is set, so let's go through our starting order for today. And Richard Regan Jr., who was tight with Elliott White, did manage to get ahead of him, but by the narrowest of margins. White will start to his outside as Josh Conker will begin in P3. Bradley Holly will be 4th as Jim Westerfield is on the inside of row 3. Patrick Gowgill starts 6th. Then you've got Mike Richter in 7th. Doug Evans will start P8. Daniel Knight, unusually far down for him, starting in 9th. And then Adam Young with a great qualifying here in 10th.
Just outside of the top 10 is going to be Charles Sumner in 11th with Thomas Sink to his outside, second in points coming into this one. Abner Acosta struggled in qualifying, starting this one 13th over Adam Zemke. Then Brett Adams and Danny Cervantes in row number 8. 17th on the grid is Colton Lane over Barron Hilton, and then Nicholas Hunter and Stacy Hunter completing your top 20 starters.
21st goes to Austin Hunter, and the last driver to qualify will be Mark Kalin. From there, they're gridded by their I rating, so it's Bajin, Adams, Shane, Medina, Geyer, and Kulhanek. And there you heard a few of our drivers that were not allowed to qualify. Kulhanek and Medina are back there by design. I do not see LeBaff here today, unfortunately, so his penalty will be extended on into the next round. Waiting for them to take off behind the pace truck. And one thing I honestly love here that has been added in the last couple years is the night lights here at Darlington, Chris, and it just looks gorgeous.
It looks great, and when you think about it in the real world aspect, the lights at this track are a good part of what saved Darlington. I mean, it was definitely on the outs with NASCAR back around 2004, 2005 when they added the lights, and moving it to a Saturday night race really helped bring back the crowds, and it's really revitalized Darlington, and it's definitely secured its future here in the last probably 10, 15 years.
And also, we got a couple onboards here. Patrick Cowgill, of course, one of ours that we see on screen. We've also got Austin Hunter here with us today. And then we've got Richard Regan Jr. in his VR set, followed by Brett Adams. Back as we glance at Brett. Or actually, that's Bradley Holly, I think, that we see on screen there.
Wearing his lucky shirt again.
Yes, good point. And they're already coming around turn 4 as we get ready to go. And it's going to be Richard Regan who has control of the field down to the inside. When does he go? He's waiting a long time. Green flag is out, and the 46 does not get the best of jumps. 27 right behind him, even a bump from the 54 as Josh Conker wants to get him to go. He's on the bottom side, which isn't always as desired, but it's the start of the lap, so it looks like he might have it ahead of the 27. Going to try and cut him off as the 54 spins.
Well, that was definitely suboptimal for Josh Conker, as it looks like the Elliott White filling the gap.
He did not lose it completely. He gets it going. Great stuff by Josh Conker, but he's lost a lot of spots. So it is Regan, White, Holly, your top 3 currently. Cowgill gets promoted up to 4th. There's the caution now. Looks like Geyer maybe. No, Blaine Adams in the 33 is off at the side of the track. Just got loose off the back. And then it was the 54 of Josh Conker coming off of turn 2. I didn't even get to see how he caught it. I just kind of saw him go way off to the side. So let's see how in the world he saved this. This is the end of the pace lap. You'll see them take off here. And the 54 is starting there on the inside of line 2. And he'll even get right up on the bumper of Richard Regan Jr. just because he didn't seem too happy with how slow that start was for him. There you see it.
It's following right in his footsteps there. They go through turns 1 and 2 here.
He loses it all on his own. Whoa! That was a fantastic catch. I'm sure he's grateful that they have that much paved runoff down at the bottom of the track, as he used every bit of it to keep that
Joe,
thing together.
When Darlington was originally built, that was supposed to be the racetrack. The part that they race on, the banking in the corners up near the wall, that was actually designed to be a safety runoff area. But of course, if there's pavement, racers are going to use it. And that ended up becoming the racetrack, and what was designed to be the racetrack ended up being the apron.
That always amused me. I know everybody likes to tout the story of the minnow pond, and that's why it's egg-shaped. That, to me, is the more intriguing thing, that they did that thinking, oh, this isn't necessarily supposed to be what they race on. Did nobody sit and think, well, banking, that'll be faster?
It's really, when you think about it, Darlington was so far ahead of its time when it was built. I mean, there really was anything like it in the world. I mean, you had Indianapolis, but that's a whole different animal. And this track was really the first of its kind in every way, and even down to the safety features that the drivers immediately ignored.
Absolutely. And I do love that that's part of what gives it its character, though. It wasn't meant to be raced, so it's just so incredibly narrow, and just adds to the difficulty of trying to be fast around here and even overtake as well. So a couple drivers that stopped into pit lane. Baron Hilton did, I see. Sink took a little stop in there. Colton Lane is getting repairs, and I'm not sure why. And Blaine Adams, of course, we saw his wreck, so he's in. Poor Josh Conker is going to restart 16th when we go back to green, which will be the next time by.
That's a very tough break for Conker. I mean, he's been a driver that's been consistently fast week in and week out, and just no luck at all.
So did Regan learn anything last time? Because that start kind of put him under threat from Elliott White through the first couple corners. Had to really push to try and stay ahead of him. So maybe he'll take off a little sooner. Maybe he'll try and catch him off guard a little better. But as they wait for Barney to wave the flag, there you see the field coming out of 4 now. The pace truck peels in. Regan Jr. just waiting for it, looking for the right moment, and now he's on it much earlier than last time, and this is a way better jump over his rival. Top 3, single file almost immediately. Patrick Cowgill looks like he's also going to be able to slot in the line ahead of his rival back there in the 35, Jim Westerfield. In fact, very little side-by-side racing into the first couple corners.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. This is a track where, you mentioned it in the pre-race show, Joe, you're going to be racing the track more than your competitors. So everyone giving each other a little bit of breathing room on that first restart, and allowing everybody to get single file so we don't end up stacking them up again.
Looks like everybody through turn 4 safely this time. We get a full lap under green. Thought I saw a little bobble there from the 46 mid-corner.
Well, that's not exactly hard to do here. I mean, you're driving right up against the wall, and just a little bit of hesitation with the wheel. As we see Bradley Holly to the inside of Elliott White for that second position. It's usually the inside's the easier way to go, but here you lose a lot of momentum. So if you can make the truck work down there, you're in good shape.
He gets it done, and he gets a caution to solidify it. Oh no, looks like Adam Young has messed up that new paint scheme alongside his fellow riding shotgun driver, Stacy Hunter. So 2 teammates, unfortunately, out in the same wreck. Looks like Young is the one ahead for now. And just loses it off of 4 yet again. So definitely looks like with this fixed setup that those trucks, at least early in the stint, are not very happy coming off that corner.
Ooh, and looks like he came up into the 23 as well, so that definitely didn't help matters.
Yeah, ooh, and there, that was Stacy Hunter, I think, who blew his engine because of that big hit. That was the one I was talking about. The 23 is Brett Adams. Oh, was trying to shoot the gap, and the gap shot him, so to speak. So Hunter already in pit lane. He will need extensive repairs if he even wants to try and continue in this race. Two very quick cautions early on today. Change up at the front. Regan still leads, but Holly now snatches second away from White in the short bit of green flag racing we had, with Patrick Cowgill still riding in fourth.
How about that, Joe? He's got the little camera sticker there for GSRC.
Don't think that was part of the original scheme. Just guessing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't recall Kevin Harvick running that.
Wow, man, this might be an attrition-filled race, the way things are looking. Adams, Lane, Hunter, Blaine Adams, I should say. Now Brett Adams is as well. Adam Young, all sitting on pit lane, having the crews bang away on it. 23 trucks still running out of 28 starters, and we're only 10 laps in, a good chunk of them under caution. We're hopping on board with Elliott White here as we wait for them to go double file to get another restart.
Yeah, Elliott White has looked sporty here in the little bit of green flag racing we've been able to do. Did fall back to third, but truck looks pretty stable compared to some of the other drivers out there, so maybe this fixed setup fits his style a little bit more. And you know, Joe, right, we've got Richard Regan out in front. And just looking at the stats, he's raced twice this year and gone to victory lane both times. So he's been a pretty successful trophy hunter in this truck series this season.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a few who are going for the championship that weren't terribly happy to see him arrive yet again. The private label driver basically just stopping in and snatching away some stats and some points. Not really in it for the championship itself. And we're still not double file as the lights are still on.
Trying to place that paint scheme. Well, based on the colors, I'd almost think it was like maybe an old throwback to a Chad Little John Deere scheme, but I remember those being mostly green.
Yeah, I can't quite put my finger on it. I'd almost say one of the Country Time Lemonade schemes, but we do have another one that had the whole pink. There it is right there, actually behind him, the old pink and yellow one.
Yeah, that was like the Bobby Hamilton era Country Time scheme.
There we go. Now we are doubling up, so we're going to get going racing once more. Let's get some green flag racing in. We could really enjoy the power underneath the hood of these beautiful paint schemes. All lined up and ready to go. We're hearing some information from Adam Young that he doesn't think he's going to be able to go very fast, so he's going to try and get out of the way on this restart. Hopefully that doesn't cause issues, but he's right at the back, so should be a non-problem. Coming up to 3 and 4 into round 6 here for the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. And we've only had one repeat winner, which was already mentioned by Chris Foby, the only non-championship driver in the field to have won thus far. So, as we wait for it, another early jump. And this one, once again, looking to help him out quite a bit as Richard Regan takes the green. He's ahead of Bradley Holly. White slots into third. A little bit of side-by-side battle between the 35 and the 17. Daniel Knight trying to see if he can do anything on the low side of Westerfield. He gets very loose, has to back out.
Yeah, that turn 2 has been absolutely vicious tonight, Joe.
Both 2 and 4 have been unforgiving. The 17 still riding low as he can't find a spot in line. Now he gets up, slides in front of Abner Acosta. Acosta up to 8th. He's gained a couple positions. He might get another one as he takes a peek underneath Daniel Knight. It's not going to be successful, though.
That's quite a scheme that Knight's running there. Looks like, based on the numbers, maybe a throwback to a sports car type thing.
Now, that would be cool to see translating from other disciplines onto these trucks in their throwback. Definitely can appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it looks like something from a Porsche early 2000s or late 90s.
I figured if anybody would have a point of reference on that, it'd be you.
Don't quote me on it, though. I'm not entirely sure. Up at the front, Holly and Regan starting to gap everybody. So first and second kind of dancing away, and Elliott White doesn't seem too concerned. He's got a buddy with him, Patrick Cowgill, keeping him close behind. So at least have something to keep his interest if he does really lose touch with the top 2. You can see them on screen now. Regan in the 46. With Bradley Holly in the 184. Ooh, and Knight once again is in a battle, this time with Doug Evans. Evans in front of him in the 41 is going to deny him with better speed off of turn 4. Knight has to get right back in behind. Let's see if he tries an attack down the backstretch, maybe. If he can get the shot off the turn, looks good. There's a little bit of a bump. Get that extra speed up for Doug Evans. Can't wait around all day sipping lemonade, so he's going to have to try and do something soon if he wants to catch back up to Westerfield and get where he was at the start.
With Daniel Knight right on his tailgate as they head off into the corner. And that's one thing you'll see here is everyone races this track a little bit different. So sometimes you'll get ran over following or having somebody follow too close behind you just because your braking points are that much different.
This is one of our best battles in the top group, but I'm glad to see everybody starting to settle in at this stage. I think people got tired of running behind the pace truck. Looks like he falls back a bit, but I think Mark Kalin is on the attack in 13th. This is trying for the 12th spot from Nick Hunter. And Hunter is going to have to give way, and those are definitely cars from my childhood.
Yeah, the interstate battery scheme, it's weird to see it on a Ford.
Touché. And he's going to have to give up that 12th to Kalin. Oh, man, things are backing up behind him, and a truck is in the wall. That's Thomas Sink. And he is banging all over that safer barrier. The 48, unfortunately, with a loss of momentum, slips back to 21st. Let's take a look and see what started this. It was already way up high early in the corner.
That's another problem. You get into the wall here, and sometimes it just sucks you in. It's like you're magnetized to it.
Yeah, once he hit it, he just had all sorts of trouble getting off of it. He falls down to 21st from that mistake, and I can't imagine that truck is handling very good now, although he didn't hit it super hard. This is first and second. Regan still ahead of Holly. If I know Holly, though, I suspect he's just going to bide in his time. Either, even if it was maximum pace, he doesn't look like he's too stressed about it at the moment. So, drops back to about 0.3 of a second. But they have gapped Elliott White behind them to 0.75 of a second. Down in 7th, we were watching this earlier, Daniel Knight on Evans, but Evans is also starting to catch Westerfield. 35.
That battle's definitely going to get congested here soon, Joe.
Oh, Knight once again taking a little bit of a look. 17 doesn't have the speed, but Abner Acosta, we mentioned we did not expect him to qualify as low as he did, and now it's Doug Evans in the wall through 3 and 4, handing over the positions. So all 3 of them easily passed. Knight up to 6, Acosta 7th, Josh Conker to 8th. Let's take another look at it. So it's going to be the same deal, but does he get help? Down into the corner. And nope, he just drifts on high. Back live, Evans now into 9th. Of our big movers so far, Acosta actually is one of the drivers that has charged the hardest from 13th to 7th. Some of those spots obviously helped by the attrition that we've been seeing, but a spot is a spot. You're used to seeing Acosta actually challenging guys like Hawley and Regan up at the very front, so I'm wondering if he's just kind of picking them off bit by bit.
I mean, he showed he had a lot of speed in practice, Joe. It just had some issues getting into the wall during qualifying, and that's really set him back, but still a fast driver and a very fast truck.
There's all 4 of them very close in the line. Jim Westerfield, sees a little bit of a peek from the 17 who tries the low line. Was that somebody scraping the wall in front of him we saw? I thought I saw sparks there. Ooh, loose off of 4 for Knight.
So obviously a little bit of chaos going on here in this middle portion of the race.
We're on board with Conker now. And did we lose Westerfield? I was going to check notes, and yeah, it looks like he just went high through 3 and 4, or 1 and 2 rather, and let go of 2 or 3 positions in the process. Acosta now up to 6th as we look at the 54 of Josh Conker, who's just behind Acosta. Nice climb back forwards. Remember, he fell, I think it was down to 16th on his opening lap incident. He's now in 7th.
Well, Joe, we were questioning earlier what that Richard Regan Jr. scheme was. It's a throwback to the White House apple juice car that ran in the mid-90s in the NASCAR Busch Series. I believe it was Johnny Rumley and Johnny Smith both took turns in the car. Tom Milner was the owner. I knew it looked familiar. I just had to jog my memory a little bit.
Ah, there you go. So Richard Regan now actually with quite a bigger gap over Bradley Hawley. You can see it on screen. It's a 2.5 seconds. We're going to check in on Daniel Knight and Abner Acosta. Now, this should be an interesting fight because we've been watching these two make some good moves. And, getting way high off the corner. Knight's actually going to make it easy for Abner. With much better speed down the backstretch, he cracks the top 5.
That turn 2 exit bites somebody again as we have a battle shaping up for second now. Elliott White all over the Kodak scheme that Bradley Hawley's running. A little bit of breathing room now as they get off into the corner.
Yeah, he actually did manage to get side by side through 3 and 4, but couldn't keep the speed off the corner. Hawley tries to pull away, gets himself a gap of about 0.3 seconds. If they keep fighting like that, the 31 of Cowgill might start to give them trouble too. You can see them just back behind, all fighting for some podium positions. We now watch both from on board Patrick Cowgill and see as he works at the wheel. We said it before, just really intense focus today from Patrick.
Yeah, it looks like getting ready to chew his lip off there, trying to stay focused on driving, and that's kind of a product of racing this track. I mean, it'll turn your hair gray if you let it.
Another little look to the inside and great run off the corner for the 27. Elliott White might have it this time. Remember, he started in P2. He's trying to get that back. Really goes low on the entry into the first corner. But there is a good example of that speed the high line gives through the middle of 1 and 2. The 184 just breezes past him.
Boy, it's awfully brave to sail the truck off into the corner like that, too. I mean, when you dive it off to the bottom of the track like Elliott White did in 1 and 2, you are literally just waiting for the truck to get hooked up. And you have no idea really how far you're going to drift up the corner until that truck will get some bite. So a very brave move there that worked out.
Well, halfway worked out. He didn't get the spot in the end, but at least he's still racing. Now
at Darlington, that's the win.
True. We're a third of the way through the race. And we did bring some of our drivers who were taking repairs back into the fray. Adam Young, we mentioned, is in. Stacey Hunter, I'm kind of amazed, managed to get back out on the track in the 71 because we saw that engine smoking. So apparently wasn't quite as bad as it looked. 8th place. Oh, and this is a move from Doug Evans. This is going to be a little bit easier for him, as I think it was facilitated by Westerfield.
Yeah, Evans in recovery mode after scraping the wall earlier, and looks like he definitely still has the pace. He has broken even so far on positions, falling back to 8th like that, but nonetheless, he's...
Ooh. I thought Acosta would be attacking. Instead, he had to defend, but it wasn't successful because Cowgill moves into 4th. We're on board with him now. Nicely done through 3 and 4. Ooh, Westerfield might have an issue. I wonder if that 35 has something wrong because he just lost another spot. The 57 of Zemke went by and didn't look like anything was phasing him as he did. So that last lap, a second slower than the rest of the pack for Adam Zemke. Wonder if maybe he used up his stuff or something as we take a look at Daniel Knight once more. Now he's got Josh Conker behind him, but Conker seems to be blinking a bit. And Acosta's fighting back. Just as he loses the spot, he gets underneath the 31. The 31 going to scrape the wall, but he manages to peel it away. The damage is done, and Acosta back into 4th.
That was another one of those moments where Acosta sailed the truck off into the corner and was just waiting for it to hook up, and thankfully he didn't get into the 31, but may have squeezed the 31 into the wall a little bit.
Something wrong with Cervantes here in the 25. He's down low. Is he being overtaken? This looks like Bajin, who's going to get by. And now it looks like Sumner is going to try the inside down into 3 and 4. He's plugging up those behind him. Austin Hunter, Thomas Sink can't get through. This will check up. The truck's behind, and Thomas Sink has a little poke, then gets back right behind the 312. Austin Hunter now on screen, talking to his teammates, it looks like.
Definitely not a bad track to pool all your resources on.
Oh, and Elliott White got by Bradley Hawley. How did this one happen? This is actually down the front stretch. So here we go. Now, what's interesting is as we came to this replay, I just heard Hawley get on the radio, said, I've been trying to give it to you for a while. So he did not want to lead this group. This isn't really a fuel-saving track usually.
Yeah, you can see Bradley made it look pretty easy there, letting the 27
but look at that.
He's given up another spot now to the 5.
Yeah, his old rival Abner Acosta, who thought to slide off the corner into him, doesn't door the 184, but gets close. He'll get another shot. It's a shorter line, but the speed on the bottom just never seems to be there at this track. Oh, is once again extremely loose late in the run as we've had a lot of green flag laps now. Bradley Holly is holding on for dear life.
Yeah, we are closing in on halfway through this race, and those tires aren't normally well coddled at this track to begin with.
Patrick Cowgill gets a front row seat on this one. He's got to be careful, though. If those two start to wreck in front of him, he doesn't have much space to try and take avoiding action.
Well, you can see now he's taking the peak to the inside of the 5. Not able to get alongside coming off the corner.
Not exactly. So the order now is Regan still leading. White up to second. Holly falls to third and is just clinging by a fingernail as Abner Acosta runs fourth. Oh! Another big moment for the 184. This time it slows him up big time down the backstretch, but he had pulled such a gap to the 5 that Acosta couldn't get the overlap.
It's weird to see Holly struggling on tires this much, Joe. It's very uncharacteristic of him.
It definitely is. And once again, he'll get a shot at it, but can he get the job done? Doesn't chuck it in like we've seen some drivers do into turn 1, and even though it's much smoother, it actually seems to work. So he's now onto the podium. Holly must have something wrong. Maybe he hit the wall and it's knocked something loose.
Trying to get a look at the body work on that truck as it comes around. Doesn't look, nothing I can see too wrinkled up on it.
Get another slide coming off of 4, and Cowgill sticks his nose in, but he's very slow into 1, and instead it'll be the reverse. The 54 of Josh Conker still on his recovery drive. They're going to get into one another, slamming to the outside, and I don't think Cowgill's going to save it. Car spins around. There's the caution, and big damage as we see the engine smoking from that inside hit.
Man, that's too bad. Patrick was probably running his best race of the season.
I wondered when we'd see this. Just going side by side off of 2. Looks incredibly perilous. And it was a light touch between them, then it just kind of, it compounded. They kept swinging back and forth, and each hit got bigger.
Yeah, they just ping-ponged off each other about halfway down the straightaway, and something had to give. Unfortunately, it was Patrick.
I'm going to take a wild stab here, Chris, that we are going to see some pit stops.
I'd be surprised if anyone doesn't pit right now.
I'm seeing all our leaders in. Is anybody going to risk staying out? No, nobody. Yeah, it looks like pretty much everyone in the field coming in, except for some of our lapped cars, of course, trying to get their laps back. Who can come out and do the best here? In pit lane, everybody trying to get as fast in as they can. Not seeing anybody have to back up into their stall yet, so it looks like they're all nice and tidy. The 46 up on the pole position has the stall closest to the cones, and that makes it nice and easy for him to peel out. Any changes behind him? No, it's all looking very orderly.
Looked like a pretty solid stop by Abner Acosta to stay ahead of Bradley Holly. Also, nice little tidy stop for the 5 team. Easy enough for me to say.
And next time they cross the line, that'll be halfway through this race as well. Kind of watching my time in scoring now that the pit stops are done, see if I can spot any other hard chargers during this race. You can see the pluses and minuses that the drivers have. I want to say Mark Kalin might be, no, he lost some spots in that. So it's gone to plus 12. That is still far and above our biggest gainer. Oh, and Kalin's getting some sort of penalty. He's having to give up spots.
Yeah, it's definitely going to hurt his hard charger standings.
Now, I thought I heard somebody saying that they had gotten a black flag for passing the limping car of Cowgill. I'm guessing that may have been Kalin then.
Well, that's an unfortunate penalty there.
Yeah, just one of the things that you sometimes get here in iRacing, sort of glitches in the rules, if you will. And I think we're getting just one more of our lap trucks in. That's Cool Hannick heading down pit lane. So the new order up at the top, Regan, White, Acosta, Holly, Conquer is your top 5 order.
Definitely Abner Acosta putting in some work today to make it back up to 3rd after having some struggles in qualifying. That is a very impressive move here at Darlington to pass that many trucks under green.
Absolutely. Stayed cool under pressure, and many could have let it get to them. Those little mistakes certainly stick in your mind. They are human out there. And we're looking at the number 5 of Abner Acosta on your screen. Richard Regan Jr. going to be starting directly in front of him on the track as they're now doubled up. And we hop on board with the 54 now. Josh Conquer, who we just heard Chris mention, has had to recover with a near wreck at the very, very start. Up to P5. He qualified 3rd. Will he be able to maybe try and challenge for a podium, maybe even a win? In fact, Josh Conquer still looking for that victory. Of our top 5 in the points, he is one of only 2 that has yet to take a win so far this season. Wow, low line got a much better jump. Look at that as the green flag waves. 27 of White just got snookered.
That was a great start. By even the 2nd and 3rd row is now Acosta's going to clear White, and Conquer was looking to make a move also.
And in the background, I'm not sure if we saw it on screen, but the 17 of Knight bobbled. That checked up everybody behind him. So instead of giving passing opportunities, there's now a giant gap in the top part of the field.
That was definitely not ideal for the drivers a little bit further back in the field that we're hoping to capitalize on this caution bunching everybody up.
Gonna go to Westerfield. Been giving him and Doug Evans a lot of screen time here today because they've certainly seen their fair share of action. 41 holding off the 35 by about 0.2 of a second. Westerfield was gaining, but has stalled out a little bit, and instead he's got Mike Richter in the 51 getting rather close. Much better exit off of 4 now. Westerfield may be liking that end of the track a little better.
And that's the thing, Joe. I mean, this is a track that has 2 totally different radius turns on either end. You know, the old Minnow Pond story. And that does make a difference in how you drive each corner.
Certainly. Now, in front of them, am I seeing White, Holly, and I think Conquer? No, it's White, Holly, and Acosta, who are extremely tight, and I think they're keeping Regan in check. This is the top 4 are barely split by half a second.
Yeah, less than 0.2 the advantage that Regan has over Acosta. And you got to think there's some drivers in that top 5 that have not won yet this season that are definitely itching for one. I mean, Abner Acosta looked like he had the race all wrapped up last week until some circumstances took him out of that position. So there is definitely a driver sitting in 2nd place right now that really wants to get the monkey off of that.
And I'm sure it'd be extra special here at Darlington, knowing just how tough it is to try and race here. Ooh, they all gained on Regan that time down the back stretch. Nobody dared to try and take it side by side. In fact, the way things are running between them, wonder if this is them just kind of playing cool, letting the race come to them rather than risk another caution. We're watching from on board Bradley Holly, who is at the tail of the train.
Well, definitely doesn't look like he's worried about things at all.
I don't think he ever does. And he's certainly keeping it tucked underneath the 27 spoiler. This time, he actually does poke his nose out. He decides he's not close enough to try and attack. They're keeping the gap back to fifth at Josh Conker about half a second. Not huge, but also not terribly small.
Yeah, you gotta wonder at this point, maybe these top runners are taking it easy on each other a little bit, trying to save tires to make it to the finish. And of course, as I say that, Elliott White takes a peek down towards the inside of Acosta.
Yeah, White definitely looks like he's the one that might be marginally slower than another car here. All the other cars, really. Richard Regan Jr. Continues to keep a buffer on him, but we've been seeing Elliott White get close to Acosta, close enough that he could try something if he really wanted to. Has not decided to yet. Down and across the line yet again, starting lap 58. As we get closer to the end, who is good for that? They made it to halfway, but that was with a couple green flag, or a couple caution flags rather. I would think that maybe they could make it to the end there from halfway.
I think they can make it, but I think if there's not another stop between now and then, none of these drivers are going to be having any fun.
Certainly not. Especially if it's green flag stop. Saw someone pop their nose out there. That's Westerfield, who was trying it on Evans, and he sent it. It sticks. The 41 gets demoted down to 9th. Can Jim start to reel in Adam Zemke, who was pulling away from those two?
That was definitely a very decisive move by Westerfield there, and not a huge gap between himself and Zemke either, so he's going to look to run that down here pretty quick.
And Westerfield is one that also kind of lost the plot a little bit early in the race. Started from 5th. Even with that pass, he's in 8th. Haven't missed much. Oh, well, now we missed much because that's Bradley Holly. Did the 27 maybe get a Darlington stripe off of 2? He's going to stop the bleeding before the 54 gets by. Let's take a look and see what caused this, because he was very slow.
You can see Bradley right on his bumper there as they went down the straightaway. So Bradley already wasn't giving him much breathing room, so not too out of the question to think maybe he got a little intimidated with somebody right on his bumper.
He gets very loose. It doesn't look like he actually made contact, though.
Still a victim of that turn 2 exit, though. Just truck got a little squirrely on him and had to chase it around the track for a second, and that was all the opening Bradley Holly needed.
No kidding, because he's already doing the same thing to Abner Acosta, but will Acosta fall victim to that pressure? No, not this time, by. And they're dropping the 27 as they start to gain even on Richard Regan Jr.
Yeah, after
Sorry,
peeking at the bottom of the track there, Joe, and things are getting a little dicey up here.
Was he peeking or was he getting loose? I thought that truck was starting to swap ends, as we've seen off of 4 so many times.
Probably a little column A, a little column B.
Oh, this time he's way faster off of 2. Oh, and he gets the caution just as his nose is ahead. Try to figure out who caused this. Was this Richter? I think the 51. Yeah, 51. Now he's gonna get some help. Unfortunately, it's Mark Kalin. And then poor Colton Lane, who's already many, many laps down, just becomes an innocent victim in this. So you got your cornflakes and you got your coffee. And unfortunately, it's probably not going to be a great morning tomorrow for either of them.
That was definitely not the best part of waking up.
No, I would say not.
Is that Austin Hunter that piled in there at the end?
Might have been. This is from on board Colton Lane with just nowhere to go. Big why me moment. Oh, whoever it was a very big hit.
Yeah, pretty sure that's Austin Hunter there has got a... I thought might be still him with a blown engine also. Looks like we lost a couple engines in that one.
We do have pit stops, but we're going to take one more look. Yeah, there he is right there. Oh, no, just the smoke.
Yeah, had no idea what he was driving into. It was just aiming for the smoke and hoping for the best, but unfortunately did not quite work out.
Ooh, it was close at the exit, but Regan beat Holly. Now, where is Acosta, though?
Acosta must have had a terrible stop, Joe. He's down in 7th place right now.
Let me check. He should have the lead. Didn't he go by? So, I'm checking. I don't see... I didn't see anything unusual at all with Acosta. His time looks fine. This is bizarre. He was 3 seconds slower cone to cone, though, for some reason. We're hearing word that Acosta may have gotten a penalty for passing the pace car, but I would think he'd be much farther down. When he came into the pits, he was at the lead of the group. So I don't think that's a penalty for passing the pace car.
Yeah, he hasn't gone back any further than 5th once our top 2 that stayed out the first time around made it to pit road. So I'm a little befuddled. I mean, it looks like his stop was definitely a little on the slow side, but definitely took a few seconds longer down the pit lane, but I'm not sure what the cause was there.
Well, while we're waiting for them to come back to green, looks like we've got Patrick Cowgill with us, who's unfortunately a little down the order. So let's take a chat, see what he thinks of what's going on out there, because it's not been perfectly clean, but we've had some good racing. Patrick, this is Joe Peak up in the booth with GSRC. Unfortunately, down in 24th here today, when it looked like you had speed for a lot more in the early stages, we've been seeing some sort of odd wrecks. What do you think's happening out there?
This track is pretty loose at the start of the run, and it's burning off the tires and making it really tight towards the end of the run.
Well, I see that you're getting the lucky dog, so that's going to at least get you one of those laps back. Is this essentially just to try to cruise out there as long as you can to claim positions and get a few points?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, disappointing to see. Wish we were able to talk to you in a little better circumstances, but best of luck in the remainder of the laps.
Thank you.
That was Patrick Cowgill. We're already too wide as we just got the one to go, so we'll have to duck away from Patrick pretty quickly here. So now, the order on the restart. Regan, Holly, Conquer, Knight, Acosta is your top 5, with a very strange pit stop from Abner Acosta as the pace truck is in. Regan has gone early the last couple times, and he goes early again. And look at that, jumping from 3rd to 2nd. Josh Conquer with a fantastic bit of anticipation. Bradley Holly just left sleeping.
Yeah, after that first initial start where he struggled a little bit, the 46 has been absolutely stellar on these restarts.
So there is the penalty for Abner Acosta. Oh, and something's happened to Adam Zemke.
Looks like he might have just lost the back end of it coming off of
No caution. No caution. He spun off the racing line. As we once again look at the leaders, Richard Regan leads Josh Conquer. Here comes Bradley Holly, though. Backs out of it by the time they hit turn 3. All of them flirting with that outside wall, trying to cut down off at turn 4 while keeping the truck from spinning as we hop on board the helmet cam, getting a driver's eye view of just how narrow it is around this old school track.
Yeah, Joe, this is Darlington. It's not flirting with the wall. It's like giving them your number on a napkin with the outside wall.
I wouldn't honestly give my number on a napkin to the lady in black. I fear that I would get smacked if I did that. As
she'll definitely hurt you.
Yeah, get a heel to the face as a look to the inside from the 184 doesn't produce a pass into second. I honestly feel like Holly has been the quickest of this group that we've seen all race.
I don't know if he's been the outright quickest, but he's definitely been the most consistent.
Give a little push to the 54 of Josh Conker. Boy, if Conker wins this race, what a run that would be. Falling all the way down on the first lap and having to save the truck and then fighting his way forward. But Richard Regan Jr. has been in command for a good chunk of this event, we should say. But the 46 has not been able to run away for most of it. He only has had a comfortable buffer for maybe a dozen laps or so. And off of turn 2, now that they've got those tires warmed up, Bradley Holly just keeps getting right on top of the tailgate of the 54.
And it almost looked like Conker might have scraped the wall a little bit coming off the corner there. So that's going to back him up a little bit also.
All right, let's watch off of 2 again. Every single time, Bradley Holly has just been a rocket ship down the backstretch, but he's not made a pass attempt yet. Yeah, here it is. He starts to gain on it, gets right on that bumper, and then he decides it's not worth trying to risk it yet.
Well,
maybe right here.
Yeah, he's got to run off a 4. He's going to try to pull even with the 54.
Just as Conker has a blinking issue. Thankfully, no ghost contact between them. Ooh, he makes them think twice. The 54 almost got into the wall trying to give space to Holly. Another blink from Josh Conker, and this is hurting them. This fighting and the blinking of Conker has lost them about half a second to Regan.
Yeah, this is exactly what Richard Regan Jr. wants to see up in his mirror. He wants those two to battle each other as hard as possible for as long as possible so that he can get some breathing room there.
Holly was on the radio to Conker, letting him know. Conker says he's aware. Thankfully, not stressing on it too much. Holly just said he's given him the info. He's willing to deal with it for now. Meanwhile, we're watching the onboard, looking back from Richard Regan Jr. Are we going to see a pass for second? Doesn't look like off of 4 this time.
See, Regan, just all those little corrections you have to make in the wheel to keep it in the corner and off the wall here at Darlington. I mean, it's a lot of steering input.
As we take a look at the second pack, we haven't mentioned it, but it does go back to 5th there in that first group. Elliott White in there as Charles Sumner is the leader of the next one. From 11th to 6th, nice little gain for the 98. Fortunately, well, it almost looks like only a 2-truck pack, and Jim Westerfield is the only one back there for 6th and 7th. As we're looking at Thomas Sink now. Sink leading a couple, including Shane, who's under attack from Cervantes, and Danny might have something here.
Definitely looks like he's going to have a run here when they get off of 4. No, does not happen that time.
Still trying. Still poking his nose, and he's got laps left, but they are ticking away. We're on lap 78, going to be lap 79 pretty soon. As we take a glance at our leaders, I think Conker has reeled in Regan by a hair. It looks a little closer than it was before, but Holly still is unable to get past him.
And that's going to be awfully frustrating for Holly, knowing that he's got a fast ride, but just not able to put all 4 corners together enough to get by.
I wonder, too, if maybe he backed off just so that they could catch back up to Regan, if he kind of saw what was happening up there. And if so, I mean, smart strategic move, because they very quickly got right back up to the 46.
Yeah, it's definitely not out of question for Bradley Holly to make a move like that.
Going to be 15 laps to go next time by at the line. Now that they've pulled up to the yellow bumper of Richard Regan Jr., do we see another attack from the 184? He's getting extremely close to the rear bumper of Josh Conker. Can't get the shot off of the final corner. Will he send it in? Down into one? No. The way that he just almost on command seems to be able to close down on the 54. I still say that Bradley Holly has extra speed under the hood. Had a bobble off of turn 2 from Elliott White. I don't think he actually hit the wall, but it was close. He holds on to the back of this quartet.
Yeah, Holly, yeah, I think you're right, Joe. He's got to be just biding his time here, maybe trying to lay back and save tires a little bit for the later part of this run, because he is right on the 54 when he wants to, and seems like he's just, ooh, big checkup by the 54.
Hard shot to the back. An apology over the radio from Bradley Holly. You said it earlier yourself that oftentimes drivers can drive this track in such different ways. It can catch each other out. And I think that almost looks like what happened there.
Yeah, the older the tires get, I mean, you'll see drivers start racing the corners a little bit differently, Joe. And because of that, obviously different braking points. And if you're following too close behind and somebody checks up a little bit before you're ready, we can have what we just saw there with the 184 just about running over the 54.
Back down into one yet again. That little problem put them about 7/10 back. We're going back to Medina now. This is the fight for 12th place. Baron Hilton actually running a pretty good race today, I'd say, for Baron. 18th to 12th. Ooh, really takes it down low off of turn 2. Maybe trying to catch the car.
Yeah, but you said it yourself, Joe. It's a very solid day for Baron. Maybe a little quiet, but you can see he's had a pretty solid day there near the top 10.
Now, Elliott White, despite having a scare or two, is still right with these 3, not 4 anymore, of course, now that they've lost touch with Richard Regan Jr. is up to 1.2 seconds ahead of them. But he's also a little bit plugged up. Daniel Knight and Bradley Holly are 2 Whataback drivers there. Basically trying to find their way through, and a big checkup mid-corner from the 17. Elliott White trying to keep from getting into the back and spinning his rival.
And if he is too backed up, Joe, he could always try some of that White House apple juice that the 46 scheme is based on. That might help.
Well played, sir. We're down to 9 laps to go. And it looks like it will be a race for best of the rest, because Conker, since getting a punt in the back, has been dropping 10th by 10th off of Richard Regan Jr., who will be 3 for 3 for races attended if they finish as they sit. But can Bradley Holly try and get ahead of one of his championship rivals? Remember, Conker 4th in the points and not very far behind. He takes a look, but Conker blocks. Oh, and that threw Holly off big time into the corner. His teammate down low might be able to get through. They're all kinds of loose. Are they going to be able to hold it together? Just barely. But now they're being joined by Elliott White. White does not like the looks of this and says, I'll just wait in the back, you two.
Yeah, definitely discretion, the better part of valor here, as looks like everybody's going to fall back in line.
Oh, we had sorry, Mark Kalin, and there's the caution with 7 to go. Kalen spun off of 2. He got some help. I think Thomas Sink going to get a big piece of the tailgate. Oh, he had trouble all the way into the corner. And that is why Sink couldn't help but plow into the back of him.
Yeah, I imagine Thomas Sink probably didn't have any idea he was slowed down so much by being up in the wall.
If you're Conker, Holly, and Knight, you're loving this caution. If you're Richard Regan Jr., you are groaning now.
Yeah, this is the very last thing in the world that Richard Regan Jr. wanted to see. He's got the weight of the world on his shoulders now with what he does here in the closing laps.
So we're going to restart. Let's see. The caution came out with 7 to go. This might be a 2-lap shootout. We'll see in a moment. So they've caught the pace truck. Now, actually, let me double check and see what our time is. A lot of drivers faking the pit stop. I was going to say, I don't think that's quite the call here today. So, ooh, this is going to be very tight. I've got the official clock for me. It is 2.5 minutes left. How long is their pace laps here? About a minute. Ooh.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is going to be really close on time.
This might be only 1 lap at the end then, if they keep riding around. There goes Dalton Geyer, getting one of his laps back. Actually puts him back on the lead lap. Okay, so 4 to go next time by. We're down to 1:50 as well. Are we going to get the 1 to go? Are they going to get doubled up here? Or is this thing not going to give us enough time? Because I think if we have to...
We're getting close to now or never time.
Yeah, if we have to go around 2 more caution laps, that might be the end of the clock, which means I think it'll restart with 1 lap.
Lights are still on the pace car.
And last lap was a 1:18. We have less than that left on the clock. So yeah, this is going to be, I believe, a 1-lap shootout at the end, if I understand the rules correctly. So you can ride on board with Richard Regan Jr., trying to get some temperature into the tires before we go back racing. That is going to be absolutely valuable when they take off. Now, the one thing that I find interesting is that we still see drivers doing the weaving thing. Granted, this was on a much older tire model. I actually did see someone do some scientific tests a long time ago, Chris, to figure out if weaving helps heat them up. And he found that it's very marginal in the sim, and dragging the brakes tends to do a better job of it. So, and now he stops weaving back and forth. I think we'll get the lights out this time by.
Oh, we definitely have the perfect view here to see.
There they go. The good news is, if it's a 1-lap shootout here, they will not be able to get a caution. That'll be it. The white flag will be out, and the pace truck will not be called out again. It'll be a dash to the line. Can Conker get his first win and deny Regan his third? Could we see Holly or Knight sneak in there? Holly already on a win so far this season. I don't think Knight has taken one. Yeah, Knight's not... in fact, Knight only has a single top 5.
It's been a rough season for Daniel Knight, but you got to think Josh Conker has been bad fast all season, and if he can get a shot at it, he's definitely one of the drivers that deserves a trip to victory lane.
Ace truck should be letting them go. There it goes. Richard Regan Jr. We're getting the white flag and the green flag as we go racing for one final circuit, and it's a good jump for Richard Regan. And backing out, Josh Conker decides not to take it, as Bradley Hawley's going to have good speed, but he has to check up as well. And, we are getting the checkers, I think. That was it. So it was just a dash to the line. No racing under green here at the end. Richard Regan Jr. is your winner here at Darlington Raceway. Josh Conker second. Bradley Hawley takes third here today. A bit of a inauspicious finish there, but I'm sure this is a good one for Richard Regan Jr., who is 3 for 3 in the races he has attended. We're going to watch him burn it down as we take away for a little bit of a break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Darlington Raceway. We just watched round 6 in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series, and Richard Regan Jr. took the win, but in incredible circumstances, as he's shown up for only 3 races this season and has won all 3. Josh Conker finished behind him, unfortunately under yellow, with Bradley Hawley finishing third. They didn't get the attempt that they wanted to try an attack. Daniel Knight just off the podium with only his second top 5 of the season, finishing 4th, and Elliott White with 5th after starting on the front row. Didn't seem to be able to recover there towards the end of the race. Charles Sumner, an excellent run up to 6th, was followed by Doug Evans in 7th. Adam Shane, who did not qualify, went from 25th to 8th. Then you've got Nick Hunter finishing 19th, and Jim Westerfield rounding out your top 10.
Just outside of the top 10 was Jose Medina with a solid 11th place run, followed by Brett Adams. Adams Emke was lucky number 13 over Baron Hilton. Then Mark Kalin in 15th. Danny Cervantes came home in 16th. Thomas Sink, a struggle day for the guy that came in runner-up in the championship in 17th, with Dalton Geyer last truck on the lead lap. Abner Acosta, after that penalty, ended up 2 laps down in 19th, with Adam Young completing the top 20.
21st went to Patrick Cowgill, who we talked to briefly, and that's the best he could recover to. Stacy Hunter, 22nd, and Austin Hunter, and at 23rd. From there on down, you pretty much get a lot of your DNFs: Richter, Vagine, Kulhanik, Lane, and Blaine Adams. But Richard Regan Jr. joins us as he's taken his 3rd victory out of 3 races in this season. Richard, are you going to let somebody else have a win here?
We'll see.
It was an impressive run yet again, but you did look a little bit under threat at times, especially during that last green flag stint. For a good chunk of it, Conker, Hawley, Knight were all very close and seemed to be able to close back up to you on command when they weren't battling each other. Were you kind of managing things, or was that your maximum pace?
Definitely not my maximum pace. I did like a lap there where I pulled out 3/10 on them to see what the truck had at full tilt. But that first run, I was saving tires when I was in the lead, and I seen Elliott White drop back hard, and he was starting to save a lot. And I saw how much more he was able to save than me. And once he was able to get around Brad, how much he was closing in, and I got lucky with that caution, or he would have ran me down. So I just started to try to back up my corners more and not go flat out at all on 1 and 2. And as long as you keep within that buffer, we got the new aero model on these trucks too. So if you keep that dirty air bubble on that truck, it's hard for them to get a run because they get wicked tight in the corner. So it's just all about managing your tires at this track.
So you have this throwback scheme on the car, and we were getting some information in the text chat on YouTube about this tribute to I think this was Tommy Milner's dad's paint scheme. What was the significance for this one? Do you have a special connection?
Yeah, Tommy's our team owner, actually. And I've met Tommy quite a few times. He's a really good guy. And when I found out that he had his dad used to have a car in the Busch series at the time, I wanted to give him a little tribute to that. So I think it meant a lot to him to see that back on track, and definitely nice to get that in victory lane.
Yeah, I'm sure you'd be happy to celebrate and send him some screenshots of that one. Congratulations. Is there anybody you'd like to thank for this one?
Yeah, I got to thank all my teammates: Tommy Milner, Ty Stover, Private Label, Ethica, everyone on Team Hype, Susan G. Coleman, Multiple Sclerosis Society, Oculus Glasses, Neonism Paints, Sheldon Adkins, Josh Conker, James O'Brien, Connor Harrington, Brandon Walter, Abner Acosta. Yeah, and I want to dedicate this win to my grandmother, who just got diagnosed with cancer again.
Well, we wish the best for her, and fantastic job out there today. Richard was our winner. Richard Regan in the 46. Up next, Chris has caught up with Bradley Holly, who was our 3rd place finisher.
Well, Brad, looks like the lucky shirt left you a little short today. Unfortunately, coming up a couple spots out of victory lane, but the truck looked really fast, and looked like you were having fun out there.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely take a 3rd. At first stint, I was struggling. For whatever reason, that truck was tighter than a dump truck, and I guess I was taking it a little too easy trying to save tires.
Gotcha. Now, there was a couple times where you got pretty close to the 54. In fact, the one corner you ended up rear-ending him pretty good there. What happened with that incident?
I don't know. I couldn't really hear what he was telling me. But I don't know if I went in too deep or he just broke a little earlier than I was expecting. But that was the last thing I wanted to do to him was hit him and put him in the wall and get a position that way. So, that was just, I have a feeling it may have been more on me than him, for sure.
We got Dover coming up next week. What are your thoughts on the Monster Mile?
It's a bigger Bristol. It should be a lot of fun. We'll see how the setup is, and hopefully we get some multi-grooves. It should hopefully be a lot of fun.
All right, Brad, anybody you want to thank to help make today possible for you?
Yeah, I'd like to thank the PRL guys. We do a lot of work to get this league running and everything, and I'd like to thank the Waterback guys for practicing week in, week out, and trying to figure out what we need to do to be competitive.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Brad. That was our third place finisher today, Bradley Holly, completing our podium finishers.
And up next, we've got Josh Conker with us with a second today. Definitely had a wild story to tell after that one. Josh, very first lap off of turn 2. You almost saw your race ended right there. How do you recover from something like that?
Yeah, definitely scared me a little bit there. Kind of caught me off guard. Wasn't really expecting it. We did a bunch of the practice races, the pit parties as they call them. We did a bunch of pit parties before the race, and the truck never really did that. So it really caught me by surprise. I'm just super thankful I saved it instead of either hitting the inside wall or spinning it back into traffic and wrecking more people. Very, very fortunate that I saved it. And, definitely after doing that on lap 1, I'm very thankful to be sitting here talking with you guys.
I mean, we are wowed at the fact that you climbed up through the field that way and snagged a podium. But you, Holly and Regan, along with a few others, were looking like you had an intense fight going for the victory at the end. We were kind of saying in the booth, we felt like Holly had the fastest truck amongst you in that pack. Do you feel the same, or do you feel like you were faster than him today?
Yeah, it's definitely hard to tell. I had a pretty wild first stint there, and we saw Brad fall off on the long run rather aggressively. So we weren't kind of sure who was going to be quick on the short run. We were kind of figuring Elliott White was going to be super quick. After he got around Brad there on that first stint, he seemed to have really, really good pace and started running Rich down out front. So we were kind of thinking Elliott was going to be the guy to watch. We just kind of wanted to make sure that we got out front and ran our own race, kind of save the tire there at the end to make sure that once there was a charge from either one of them, that we had the tire enough to hold them back.
Oh, great foresight on that. When it came to that last caution, at what point did you know the race was over? Because we were kind of watching it ourselves and wondering how it was going to play out, and we didn't know until, well, the checkers actually fell.
Yeah, so actually, I was going to pit. I didn't know. We weren't really watching the clock. We honestly totally forgot about the clock tonight. So I was going to pit and take tires, kind of do like a Kansas situation last week. Unfortunately, the Kansas didn't work out for us last week, but we figured 30 some odd laps on the tires. We should be able to kind of cut your way through the field on new tires. But everybody else stayed out. So I stayed out with them. And then we got the white flag. And then Rich comes over the mic and goes, "Hey guys, there's only 10 seconds left for the time." And we're like, "Oh, thank God we stayed out." So we honestly had no idea until the white flag came out, and then Charles came over and told us that we were just going to have the quick race to the line.
Almost had a Wickens situation under your hands. That would have been embarrassing for sure. But congratulations on second. Who helped make this one possible?
Yeah, everybody that watches, first off, I've been streaming the last couple of races on Twitch, so to the viewers that have been watching that are now watching the stream tonight, I'm very sorry. I had very bad internet today. It dropped, so I wasn't even sure if I was going to make the race. So to all of them, I'm sorry. We will be back next Wednesday, though, hopefully, once the internet figures itself out. I'd like to thank everybody back at Private Label Team Hype. Ty Stover, Tommy Milner, Richard Regan, James O'Brien, Abner Acosta, Brandon Walter. I'd like to thank the sponsors, Private Label, Ethica, my personal one, Lone Palm Design. And I'd like to wish our IndyCar guys good luck tonight. They're racing here in about 10 minutes on Lionheart. So I'd like to wish them luck.
Well, that was Josh Conker, our second place finisher here today, which will wrap up our interviews. So that takes us to our own thank yous to the sponsors of this series, Simulation Motorsports Affinity. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SimMSA.net. And NinjaTrader. Get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance at NinjaTrader.com. And finally, Butt Kicker. Feel what you've been missing at thebuttkicker.com. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Chris, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, there's our social media outlets listed at the bottom of the screen. And if you'd like to support us, check out our merchandise store and consider buying something. It's at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. Link is in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on the Global Sim Racing channel. The next race, as you heard, will be at Dover, Wednesday, May 12th at 9 p.m. Eastern. That should be a fun one with the new surface model that they've got. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.